Alright, so it feels weird to sit in front of a camera because I haven't filmed any videos within the last month. This entire month I have been moving, and I don't know if you guys could tell, we are in the brand new studio / office. I'm not going to reveal it just yet. I will be doing a kind of like tour video sometime here in the near future once I get all of the decorations and fixings and shelves all situated. But as for now, folks, we're gonna be doing a update on the $30 thrifted Leica M3. Now, I'm not sure if you guys watched that video or not, but a couple of months ago, we went into a thrift store and we thrifted this Leica M3 along with a couple of other cameras and this dog that won't stop barking. Everyone, this is Bubba. Bubba, this is everyone, AKA my camera. So essentially, we're just going to be updating you guys all on the Leica M3, some of the different mods that I got for it, different accessories. I got a new lens for it as well, and show you a few sample photos from the first few rolls of film that I put through the camera. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't get to shoot this camera that much, mainly because the M6 is my primary workhorse. But when I do shoot the M3, it's because I want to shoot a 50mm lens, and that is actually the focal length that I have on it right now. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is the condition as well as just how it has been operating. Now, when I first got the camera from the thrift store, the shutter seemed a little bit locked up, but after giving it a couple of frames and working it a little bit, it seemed to clear up just fine. And the M3 is actually in immaculate condition. Like, there's not really many marks. It seems like somebody probably, had this part of their collection for a while and then ended up not even using it, put a case on it and forgot about it. And then unfortunately, it seems as if they had passed on, and that is probably why it was in the thrift store. All of the shutter speeds work. The viewfinder is nice, clean, and bright, and the rangefinder is also perfectly aligned. So in terms of operation, as an update, we are all good to go. Now, I actually did bring the Leica M3 to Japan as kind of a last minute thing. And my idea was, if I was gonna shoot the 28 on the M6, I could shoot a 50mm on the M3. Now, those first few rolls were extremely interesting and the results actually turned out really good. And so I'm gonna save that for the second half of the video because I wanna start off by talking about all the different accessories that I have for the M3. Because if you can't tell already, I have loaded this thing out right here. All right, so first and foremost, let's talk about what lens I have for the camera. So the Leica M3, of course, has a 0.58 magnification viewfinder, which means the best frame lines to shoot with this camera is going to be a 50mm. In fact, a lot of people say that the M3 was made for the 50mm lens, and so I could not kind of stray away from that idea, and I purchased a 50mm lens. Now, the one that I have on it here is actually a Canon LTM, which is the screw mount 50mm 1.4, aka Japanese Summilux. And if you look at that front element, oh my goodness, it is gorgeous. I actually found this from a local camera shop that was selling it for, I think it was like a little under 200 bucks. And so I couldn't pass it up. I used a 50mm from Canon before on my Leica M2. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for me. And honestly, this is probably, in my opinion, the best budget 50mm lens that you could get for a Leica M camera. Now, a couple of things about this lens, I did have to mod it to kind of suit my style of shooting. Now, there is absolutely no lens tab when you first buy this lens. You have sort of these little things right here, almost like these old school ribbed patterns on this metal focusing ring. And you also have this little tab right here, which is going to be your infinity lock. So once it hits infinity, it's going to lock just like that. But I don't know if you guys could see that. I actually added this little rubber focus tab, and this focus tab completely transformed my lens. I actually purchased it off of Amazon, and all it is just this little rubber focus tab that has 3M backing, and all you do is kind of stick it on. And that's essentially how I was able to add a focus tab to this lens. Without the focus tab, I found myself kind of having a hard time focusing the lens because it does have quite a long throw. But with the addition of that focus tab, it just feels right at home. And surprisingly, it fits the lens very, very well. So I'm gonna leave links in the description below to where you can pick this up yourself. If your lens does not have a focusing tab, I highly recommend one, especially if you're shooting a rangefinder camera. Now, it did come with a lens hood that kind of protruded out, and it was a circular thing. It's kind of ugly to me, so I found this spare square lens hood that was in my closet from a camera that I don't even own anymore. I forget what camera this was for. But funny enough, it actually fits right on the front of my lens. And so there it is right there. I did have to mod it a little bit. There is a little bit of like a rubber inside to kind of hold it in place. It's not gonna fall off. It actually fits nicely on the camera, and at any point in time, if you want to take it off, just pops off just like that. Next up, folks, we have a strap that I had on my M2 for, I want to say, the first 3 years of me shooting it. I found it in my closet again during the move, and something about this olive green and like a chrome Leica just hits me a little different. It's very nostalgic to when I shot with my M2, which I dearly miss. On the top here, I also have a soft shutter release button. This is from the More Gooder. Been using his products for years. Now, because the Leica M3 doesn't have a built-in light meter, I opted for a cold shoe light meter. But before we jump into that, folks, I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to the sponsor for today's video, which are the good folks over at Squarespace. Squarespace is your all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. If you're a photographer and you want to create your own professional website, Squarespace has you covered. With the help of AI technologies, Squarespace features design intelligence, which can help tailor a website that suits your style. As street photographers, it's important you have a place online to display your work professionally, and Squarespace offers beautiful portfolio layouts that you can get started within minutes. And if you're a photographer who is taking on clients, with Squarespace payments, your clients have flexibility to pay whichever way they want, which if you are a portrait photographer is extremely useful. Right now is the time to get your website up and running. Head over to squarespace.com/KingJapes and enter promo code KingJapes at checkout, and you guys can receive 10% off of your first purchase of a domain or a website. Huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I opted for a cold shoe light meter, which is this one right here that is on top of the camera already. Now, this is from a company called Kex, and I have enjoyed their products for years. They make really nice accessories, light meters. I think they're gonna make some flashes pretty soon here. But this one was perfect because it's in that chrome colorway, and it literally looks like it was made for the camera. I mean, you can't tell me that doesn't look really good. But with this addition, I can essentially get all of my exposure readings, and it's just like having a built-in light meter. The only problem is you do lose that cold shoe, and so if you want to mount a flash on top of it, you're going to have to take the meter off. But I don't really use flash often, especially with a 50mm lens, and so that's something that I really do not mind whatsoever. But this thing right here has been an absolute lifesaver. Now, there were times where I did want to shoot a different lens on this camera, and so I would take the Voigtlander 28mm that I have on my M6 and put it on the M3. But the only problem is the M3 doesn't have frame lines for a 28mm. With the 0.58 magnification, 28mm is too wide for the viewfinder. But luckily, there is a workaround, and all you need to do, folks, is get one of these bad boys right here. So this is a 28mm viewfinder, and there's a ton of different brands and companies that make them. This one's like a cheaper one that I found off of Amazon. These viewfinders can get pretty expensive. This one right here was, I think, I want to say 30 bucks on Amazon. I'm going to link it in the description below. Price could have changed because I did get this a long time ago. But essentially, it's the same idea as the cold shoe light meter. You throw it on here, and that's going to give you that 28mm field of view. And that's what's really cool about shooting with, Leica cameras, especially M-mount cameras, where you can interchange the lenses even though you don't have the frame lines. You could always just get an external viewfinder and then utilize that to kind of frame up your shots. The only exception is, in order to focus, you still need to use that rangefinder inside. And so you're gonna focus with your viewfinder, and then you kind of have to frame with the external viewfinder on top. A lot of times, if you're doing things like zone focusing, you probably don't even need to focus. But in regards to accessories, that is pretty much all I have on the camera. Where's my coffee? All right, so let's check out some of these photos from Japan. So I'm gonna throw up a couple of night frames that we made with the M3. And a lot of these were made with that 50mm lens. I don't know if you could tell from the compression. These were extremely fun to shoot. And it surprised me just how sharp this lens is, because considering it is only a $200 lens, sometimes even cheaper on eBay, it's pretty dang good. I think the sweet spot on this lens is around f/5.6 or f/8. That's when it's the most sharp. But even at 1.4, when you open it up, it is extremely sharp as well. Now, I did also throw on the 28mm, which I'm going to show you some photographs from it as well. But at this point, the Leica M3 is just the body, and the lenses are really what is going to make the image look good or not. And so I'm putting these photographs up more so just to show you the first roll through the M3. kind of some of the images that I've been able to make. I did shoot one other roll here around San Francisco, but so far everything has been extremely good, and the images that have come out of it I've been very happy with. Now, I typically like to end videos on a happy and solid note, but I do want to kind of touch on a few things with the M3 that I really kind of dislike. The first one, folks, is the loading mechanism of the camera. Now, the M3 has the classic loading system, which means if you take the bottom plate off like that, you can put it down here, this door opens up, and you're gonna get this spool. Now, the take-up spool is pretty simple to operate. There's a little slit here on the side, and you're gonna take that film leader and you're gonna insert it into that slit. You then kind of expand the film, and then you're gonna drop it into the camera as one. Now, in terms of consistency, as well as just kind of like the experience, no problem at all. I love it, actually. The one thing that sucks though about these types of loading systems is that it takes forever. And I'm just waiting for the time that I run out of film and there's a scene in front of me that I need to photograph right now, and I have to fumble around, take this leader out, insert it, stretch it out, put it back in, and then, you know, I completely miss the scene. The second thing that I kind of dislike about the Leica M3 is the rewind knob. Now, it has that classic rewind knob where you pull it up like this and then you got to twist it. And I think for the average shooter, this is like no issue whatsoever. There's like a little kind of tool you can actually purchase and put it on there and it'll help spin it. But for people who need to reload their cameras quickly, that thing is a pain in the butt. This camera is more so the camera I take out when I feel like I need to slow down a bit. If I'm gonna go to the coast and I don't need to have a lot of speed, I will take the Leica M3. You can really feel the mechanics of the camera. I thoroughly enjoy it. And you know, I got a lot of comments from the video when I thrifted the camera saying that there's a reason why it, you know, found me. They were saying the camera found me, and I'm just quoting what the comment said, how the camera found me. But there is still a little bit of guilt that I carry when I hold the camera, because I know that this was someone's, could have been prized possession, and their family sent it off to a thrift store. And so I do kind of feel ultimately responsible still for taking care of the camera. And it's one that you will never, ever see me sell. I will always keep the M3. And so this will never leave my collection whatsoever. It'll get proper use, and then hopefully one day, the only way I'll be able to pass this on is if I give it to someone that I know is going to take good care of it. So that is going to wrap it up for this video, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions about the Leica M3, or even any like video topics or ideas. Definitely stay tuned for the new apartment tour. The office space actually feels really nice to be in because now it's like a dedicated space. Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. I'll see you guys in the next episode. As always, Minolta Gang.